bells all went off, you know, and I grabbed it and looked at it, and it said, "Tsunami alert, evacuate immediately." Well, we're all laying there in their gowns, jumped straight up. I grabbed Preacher, I said, "Let's pack up and run." This is at home with Miss Joan. We originally landed in Seward when we got off the train, but we didn't stay in Seward. We got the rental car and we drove to Homer. And remember that you can see Anchorage and Homer in our past 2 videos, but this one is going to be about Seward. And we made some stops along the way. All right, we stopped at the Alaska Island and Ocean Center. It's got some little exhibits that you can see about marine life. I would say it's just a quick little stop. It's informative. There's a walk you can take down to the beach, a little trail that you can follow. Yes, and she had us stop under the sign where you can get your picture made. You're in the westerlymost point. Finish that out for me. It's not where we were yet, but we're about to get there. I don't reckon I even went on this ride, y'all. After the Alaska Visitor Center that's in Homer, then as you're driving back towards Seward, you get to the town of Anchor Point, and that's what you're talking about, is an Anchor Point. Right, y'all got out and found me some pretty rocks and a few shells. Okay, and that's where the sign is that you're in the westerly highway point. All right, we kept driving and we got to Soldotna, and they've got a cute little museum. It's worth a stop. Their museum has got little cabins set up, and you can see what a schoolhouse used to look like. You can see what the homesteading looked like. It's a very informative stop. I highly recommend the Soldotna Museum. Also, their visitor center has a boardwalk, so if you want to get a good look at the Kenai River, there's a boardwalk you can take down and you can walk along the river. It's also a really pretty sight. You know, I really liked it. I really liked that homestead, all the little log cabins around it, and especially the school. We made her picture in the schoolhouse, and it was just a really neat place to look. And I think it was free, wasn't it? Yeah, you didn't have to pay to go to it. We stopped at a place just for Preacher called the Alaska Horn and Antler. That's all I know. Big old barn looking store and full of just any kind of antler, horn that any guy or hunter would want to look at. It's in that store. And in there they also had some beautiful rocks and gems and stuff that you could look at. And I did find the most beautiful blue rock in there, because I'm going to use it sometime in this video to remember my friend Brenda that didn't get to come on the trip. Like next door to the Horn and Antler place, I looked out, there was a junk store, okay? Antique store, whatever you call it. Narrow little store, but it went way, way back, full of everything.
It's bigger than you would think it would be.
Yeah, and I even got Preacher to walk through that with me. So it was a neat place to stop on the side of the road. And we're fixing to take a little 18-mile detour. Is that what you called it? Did it have a name?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's spelled S-K-I-L-A-K, Skilak Lake Road. Now, before you decide, oh, I'm going to jump in my rental car and go down there, some rental companies don't allow their cars down there. So I emailed my company, the Alaska Auto Reno, and asked, do you allow the rental car to go down the road? And they said yes. So before you watch this and think, we'll take that detour, some places don't allow it. Mine did.
Again, we're going down this road because we're looking for bears, okay? We over
found
here.
Some. It was worth it.
For bears. We're still looking for bears. And we did see 3 on the side of the road. These were black bears, wasn't
They were black bears.
on the side of the road. Of course, Preacher just had a fit over them. But that was, for me, a long 18 miles just to see 3 bears. But we did it. And again, beautiful countryside on each side. Then we finally got to Seward and checked into the Harbor's 360 Motel. That's this background that you see right here.
This really is the best hotel to stay in Seward, especially if you're taking that major marine tour, because it departs right here. So it's so convenient.
Yeah.
You wake up and you board the boat.
And so the next morning we did have their breakfast, and it was very good in there. I will say they don't have enough lighting in the rooms for me, but I'm an old lady and I need a lot of light, okay? But anyway, we took the major marine 6-hour tour. Thank goodness it wasn't like Gilligan's Island, you know, a 3-hour tour. But anyway, we took the 6-hour tour to Kenai Fjords. Did I say it right?
Fjords.
Well, Fjord. It was beautiful. You take it from there.
It is a beautiful ride. Now, we had heard that some people get like seasick on the ride, so we
Oh,
medicine.
we had bracelets
We had bracelets on. We
the
had taken the
nausea medicine, and you don't need none of that.
Well, I'm not gonna say you don't need it. We were blessed with a smooth ride, even though it was rainy. It was super rainy, but it was still super smooth.
Yeah, we had a smooth ride on that boat.
I didn't see anybody sick on our boat.
It was
at
very
all.
nice, and we saw whales.
Tons of whales. It was beautiful. I think there were 10 humpback whales.
Yeah.
All right together.
That's the
feeding.
only thing they hadn't seen on their list.
It was. We got to check it off today.
And also the glacier, the big glacier she took us to.
The glacier was
Ooh-wee.
gorgeous. If you've never seen one up close, I highly recommend it. It is everything you would imagine it would be. The sound when the glacier is breaking off, when it's calving, I mean, it's just a sound you can't describe.
I had never seen a glacier up close. That was so interesting.
And some of it broke off too and flowed down too while we was there.
Yeah, it broke off several times, and some of the crew picked up some ice, and we had some drinks with glacier ice. That was a neat thing. We saw a lot of the birds and seals, and just anything you want to see is on that tour.
Yeah.
So if you come, I highly recommend you plan those tours. Because
About $180 per person is what it costs to take that 6-hour tour. Yeah, but it was worth it really. And they served lunch on there too.
Yeah, you have
Big,
lunch.
big sandwich with chips and
they give you drinks, and
granola,
hot coffee, and all that
brownie,
all day long.
oh,
So it's a good trip.
yeah,
Well worth the
all
money.
the coffee you can drink for free. The staff was excellent. That I had some guy helped me on the boat and off of it. Our trip to Alaska has been kind of bittersweet because my dear friend Brenda was coming with us. She's been my friend since first grade in elementary school, and my friend my whole life, especially since we retired several years ago. We were together every week doing something, and we were both looking so forward to this trip together. And anyway, due to a tragic car accident, she passed away. And I wanted to do something to remember her on this trip, and I've been to a lot of waters, but this water it's called Resurrection Bay. And when I think about there's going to be a great Resurrection Day one day, I'll see my friend again. I didn't tell her goodbye, I told her good night, because we were both believers in Christ, and I will see her again. And Brenda, my dear, dear friend, I'm going to throw this in Resurrection Bay in your honor and in your memory. For dinner, where I live, we call it supper. We went to Ray's Waterfront, and what'd you get, preacher? The salmon.
I got the glazed salmon. It was very good. I love salmon anyway.
Jordan
It
did
was a good
too.
deal.
Yeah, the salmon. I took a bite of it. I'm not a salmon person, but it was very good. And then I got the captain's platter, and you got cod. Oh, I got to talk about this. I was wondering why they don't have shrimp around here. You know, I'm from Alabama. We got shrimp everywhere. We go down to the coast, Gulf Shores, we got shrimp. I couldn't find one around here. And prawns, P-R-A-W-N-S. Everywhere I went, they had prawns, okay? I thought, well, it's on the platter, I'll try it. He brought my plate. It's glorified shrimp. That's all in the world. It is. And I've been wanting shrimp the whole time we was here. There's something wrong with this place. They don't have no shrimp. I called that waiter over. I said, son, what is this? And he said, that's prawns. I said, well, where I live, we call it shrimp. He said, oh, they're bigger than shrimp, but looked like a regular shrimp to me, but it sure was good. I've just got to learn that they have another name called a prawn. Now, the scariest part of the night was we're in deep sleep, the phones go off, and we're getting a tsunami evacuation. Did y'all all get that? We're filming this in a room full of people. It's not bothering me a bit in the world. Our phones all went off, you know, and I grabbed it and looked at it, and it said, tsunami alert, evacuate immediately. Well, we're all laying there in our gowns, jumped straight up. I grabbed preacher, I said, let's pack up and run. No car, we done turned our car in, okay? He goes down to the desk, and that what? There's already a lady down there and her kids all packed up, ready to go. She beat me.
Yeah, they were ready to go out the door, but they told them there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
Everything was
but
okay.
how do you go back to sleep when you've been shaking like a leaf from a tsunami alert that says evacuate immediately? Anyway, obviously it's a big area that they send those alerts out to, and we wasn't in the particular area, but it did cover it. That's why we got the alert. But I finally got calmed down, and we made it to this morning, and we've ordered a car, and he's fixing to pick us up at 10 o'clock, and he's gonna let us sightsee all the way back to Anchorage. Is that right, Preacher?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's ends this session of At Home with Miss Joan, and I'll check in with y'all and tell you what we do till we get back to good old Alabama.
And so for our last day in Seward, we had to get back to Anchorage to the airport. And so I had booked previously AK Tripping to pick us up. His name is Brooks Patton, and he was very prompt. He was great about messaging with me, talking about details. It's like a sightseeing transfer back to the airport. And of course, here we are in the airport.
We've been sightseeing all day.
All day long. He pulled us over at something called Canyon Creek. That's the first place where gold was discovered in Alaska. That was a quick little stop. It won't take you very long to see it. It was beautiful. Pulled over and we stopped at the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. It's got tons of animals: bison, elk, deer, wolves. If you can imagine it, it's there.
It's a good price too, just $20
Per person.
per person. Yeah.
And so then we went to the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Alyeska, I'm not sure you pronounce it, Alyeska Tram. And it takes you up to the top of the mountain, and you've got beautiful views. Now, it was foggy for us, so I don't think we got as gorgeous of views as some people get on a beautiful day. But you could tell it was still going to be great views up there at the top. And we ate at the restaurant up there before coming back down.
I don't know what you call it, top of the mountain restaurant, but anyway.
Four Tide Restaurant, I believe is its name.
Well, we ate there for our last bit of halibut before we head back to Alabama.
Except it was cod.
Okay, we didn't eat halibut today, we had cod. Well, I dipped it in tartar sauce, I know that.
Then we came back to the airport, and here we are, waiting on our flight to head back home. And so just like I wrapped up our last trip, I had asked my family to summarize the trip as 3, 2, 1. What's your third favorite experience, second favorite, first favorite? So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so for my third favorite experience, it was the Kenai Fjords 6-hour tour that we took in Seward, where we got to see the glaciers and the whales. That's my third favorite. My second favorite was the Alaska Railroad, the Gold Star. That was a beautiful ride. And you know what my first one is, Brooks Falls, the Bears. Woo! Amazing experience, like a top travel experience of anything I've done before, ever.
I like the trolley in Anchorage. I like the boat ride where we went to see the glaciers. What's that called?
Kenai Fjords Major Marine Tour.
Yeah. And I guess I'm gonna pick the plane ride to Brooks Falls as number one, just because we had such a cute,
I'm shocked that made her number
pilot.
one.
No, it really was now.
It was fantastic.
Outstanding trip to see everything.
Yes,
We
it
were up
was.
so high. We got that plane so close to the mountains, but we never hit it. And it was just so good. It's somewhere between $900 and $1,000 a person. And that's steep for us. But again, I'll say we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, so we don't do this all the time. But it's worth it. I hate to say, it don't sound like me to say it's worth it to spend that much, but
Where else would you want to spend your 50th wedding anniversary than going on a bear hunt with my honey?
it really was for what all you got to see. Right? It was amazing. You didn't feel rushed or anything.
All right, for my third would be the marine tour. I enjoyed seeing the glacier, seeing the marine mammals out there, the seals, the otters, and all that we got to see. It was a good trip. I recommend it. My number 2 pick would be the train ride from Anchorage down to Seward. Again, I saw a lot of the territory, of course, I've never seen before. We saw a brown bear that crossed the tracks in front of the train, and it was just a great ride. You get to see so much of the landscape around here. And my number 1 was, of course, the bear trip. I love the float plane flight out there and back. Had a great pilot, just a great ride, not bumpy at all. It was amazing. Standing at the falls, I was able to see 13 different brown bears at one time, feeding in the river, catching salmon, and just being in their natural habitat. There's bears all the way from the beach where we landed. We saw a mama and 2 cubs there right at the airplane, and one of them was on the beach when we got ready to leave, and we got barricaded. We had to leave the beach and walk around in order to get to our plane to fly back out. But it was a great trip. This whole week has been great. I thank God for it and just recommend it highly to anybody that ever gets a chance to come to Alaska.
I think I've said earlier in some of the videos that it's been a bittersweet trip because I had a dear, dear friend that was supposed to come with me. We've been friends since first grade, and we've been really running around every week since we retired, doing fun things, and we was coming to this trip to Alaska, and she died suddenly 2 weeks before the trip in a car accident. I've been thinking about her because we have seen some of the most beauty that there is on the earth is here.
Yeah.
It's breathtaking. Ricky we've been talking about that, and he said, well, Joan, the Lord made the earth and what we're seeing in 6 days and rested on the 7th. And what did you tell me about heaven?
He's been working on heaven for the last 2,000 years. Well, you can imagine how much greater it's going to be than anything Earth has to offer.
I just have to keep telling myself what all Brenda is beholding. And, she's saying, oh, Joan, you're the one with the short end of the stick. I'm reminded of that scripture, Nahum 1, verse 5. The mountains quake before him, the hills melt, and the earth heaves at his presence. Yes, the world and all that dwell in it. It's amazing, the creation that God made, isn't it? It is just absolutely amazing. We have had the most wonderful trip. We want to pause right here and thank Jordan, our daughter, because she planned every bit of it. We talked about a cruise, and she said, no, Mother, we're going to do excursions. We're going to see 3 places in Alaska and really check them out. And I will say, she spent many hours researching and lining up everything, getting it all paid for before we left. And everything gets clocked right off. Of course, when she whips out that agenda and she tells you where you're going to go to that day, you better get up and get ready and get going. But it was really, really nice, and I do appreciate it, Jordan, so very much. Don't you?
Yes, I do too.
And the good Lord blessed us to get to go on this trip, didn't He?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a true blessing to get to come and enjoy the beauty that's here. I'm going to get to enjoy the beauty that's in heaven someday. I hope you are. Preacher, are you going to stay with me another 50 years?
I'm going to make an effort at it. I'm not know how long I'll be around, but I'll be with you anyway.
Okay, you hang around. I can't make it without you, okay? But anyway, what a wonderful trip. And all of this, we're talking to you from, and I'm going home too. At home with Miss Joan.
And so we originally landed in Seward.
Talk louder.
I'm talking louder than you.
I'll get with it.
Train. Trolley.
Oh, yeah.
Ferry.
We're going to have to start over.
Where else?
Soldotna.
Soldotna.
Yeah.
We're going to do that whole thing
Just
again?
pick up with the Alaska Horn and Antler stop.
Okay.
For our last day in
Is he gonna get a time to talk?
He is.
All right. Do we say how much it cost?
You can.
How much was it? I feel like
The,
I'm sitting in a hole.
Horn and Antler store
It
is
makes
very
it look
nice.
small.
They had a lot of big reindeer antlers and moose antlers
Loud, preacher.
and